You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Analese.
And this is Dr. Intern Joan.
This is Rob, and we are your nerd best friends.
It is time to reflect on our nerd goals from 2024
and create our 25 for 25 list of new nerd goals for the year.
This is your Nerd Best Friends official call to action. Grab your devices, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, and share this episode with your fellow geeks. Let's grow our nerd community together. Every click helps us reach more of you out there. So what are you waiting for? Join the movement. This is episode 63. It is 2025. Happy New Year, nerds. Rob, Joan, how are we doing?
Happy New Year, nerds. I'm so excited that we're here and we're refreshed and we've got Intern Joan.
We're excited for what's coming.
What a great start to the new year. Our first show of 2025, and we have Dr. Intern Joan with us. It's amazing. We have a lot to say about last year and lots of exciting things for this episode. But first, let's get to some nerd mail.
Nerd mail.
The nerd mail I got for this episode was my USC band friends calling me a silly nerd and how dare you forget things from 20 years ago. In our last episode, I talked about watching the infamous Bush Push USC versus Notre Dame game at your house after a band competition, whatnot. And I mentioned like it was 2001. No, the Bush Push was 2004. Thank you, Trojan nerds, for correcting me. That was a magical year. Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindale White going for, I don't know, the second or third national championship in a row. And that game was iconic and one that gets replayed year after year after year, and even inspired a rule change in NCAA football because it actually technically was an illegal play, but the refs didn't catch it. It was illegal for someone to make forward progress by pushing in the NFL and the NCAA at the time. And now that rule is absolutely allowed.
Oh, so that's different than the forward progress or like pushing the pile? Or is that something within the last 20 years?
Now I think they call it the tush push.
Well, I know that they have the tush push, or like if you're in Philadelphia, it's the brotherly shove. Like it's a common play.
It was not allowed 20 years ago. Both in NCAA, you could not push a player to forward progress. The forward progress would end wherever the forward progress ended, but now you can push. Yeah. So thanks, Trojan nerds. Sorry, my bad.
So I also heard from, well, first of all, I love that people are listening, like they're listening to the episode so closely that a 2-year difference 20 years ago is going to make a difference and somebody's going to write in. And it just speaks to, I think we have some really smart professional people in our audience. Like, for instance, Dr. Intern Joan. And I'm like, man, I really want to know who folks are. So please keep writing in. And if you want, this year in 2025, it would be great to hear, hey, idiots, the DeLorean had BF Goodrich tires, not Goodyears on them. Also, I'm a rocket scientist from Cape Canaveral, Florida, whatever.
My favorite feedback from our listeners is when they tell us they're screaming at us at their radios or at their earbuds because we're going off on something and just off by the wrong actor or the wrong.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How often is
it?
They're screaming because I can't remember a name, because I can't remember any names ever.
It's a multitude of things, but I think that's my favorite feedback. I promise we're not being idiots on purpose. We're just nerds and idiots.
Oh yeah, imagine if this was an act.
This is really
I'd be the greatest actor in the world.
People are reminded. Like we had a dinner together last month in December, and not even drinks on the table, and it was just hootenanny left and right. People were like,
we would get this look, like the kind of squinty-eyed look, and I'd be like, "Oh, you're welcome for this exclusive episode of the Nerd Best Friends podcast."
This is After Dark live at Noodle House.
Yep, that's just it. Whenever we get together now, we're just doing a show for whoever's there, or if there's no one there. Good. Hey, lucky day, server at the brewery. You're getting an exclusive episode of the Nerd Best Friends podcast.
And also, it just speaks to you. We're not doing a show. We're not actors. This is actually just us, and I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh! Hi, random bartender. What's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
We've actually done that. Did you get any nerd mail, Rob?
Some nerd sent me a video about paintbrushes, and I'm gonna screw this up because I didn't take
mini paint, not like painting your house.
Miniature painting specifically, because so when you buy miniature painting brushes, they're very small and they're very fancy. You can get synthetic brushes or you can get natural hair brushes. The natural hair brushes come from a weasel that lives in China and Russia, in that kind of continental area. And they're basically vermin. So people catch these weasels because they're eating crops and stuff and whatever. And there's a market there to take that hair from these weasels. And that's what they make like fancy miniature paintbrushes out of, is the weasel hair.
That's awful.
I feel significantly grosser for knowing this.
Because of Russia and China and tariffs and trade wars and things like that, people have stopped. It's more expensive to get these paintbrushes made out of these weasel hairs because they're being exported from those countries and continents. So what's happening is there's like go-betweens with India, where they're sending the paintbrushes through India and marking them as a mongoose so that people don't think that they're the Chinese and Russian weasels, because those have different tariffs on them. So instead, they're putting them through India. They're calling them Indian mongoose hair paintbrushes and trying to export them. And so that was working. But now the federales have like cracked it. They figured it out and they found out like, oh no, these are still these Russian weasels and you're trying to pawn them off as Indian mongooses. And so the price of miniature brushes is skyrocketing and you can't get brushes anymore. It's a whole thing. I didn't remember all of it, and I'm not sure exactly where we are now or where it's going or what the alternatives are, but it's a thing in the miniature painting hobby.
Wow. So in 5 years from now, there's going to be like a Netflix miniseries about this whole thing.
Totally.
That's amazing. Well, and that also makes me feel better. I love the synthetic brushes. And at some time they're like double the price of a regular paintbrush. So if you're telling me now the synthetic brushes are going to like be better priced than hair brushes.
Well, they've always been lower priced. If anything, the synthetic brush prices will probably go up because there's no alternative now. Well, there is an alternative now. So this is another thing that I saw, and this was not in the video and I don't have the info, but I have seen brushes marketed to me that are wolf hair brushes.
Oh gosh.
Right?
What, from like Alaska
from like
or
wolves.
something? I know, but like from where?
I don't know. Maybe they're made in America from American wolves.
Well, then they're going to be like triple the price. I'm just going to go back to my synthetic brushes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because from what I understand, when they did the reintroduction of the timber wolf into Yellowstone, it was so successful that now there's like a flood of wolves in Yellowstone and they're trying to like get rid of them. And wolves are big. They got a lot of fur.
This
like
is starting
wolves
to
are
sound...
now vermin in Yellowstone National Park.
Somebody call PETA.
This is starting to sound like an audio drama.
Hey, good news. Our next segment happens to do with audio dramas.
Let's get to talk nerdy to me. We are interviewing Ashley, the writer and creator of the audio drama Oakbridge. Ashley, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you. We stumbled upon your show via Threads and connected with you via Threads, and we're super excited to have you talk nerdy to us about your show. So let's start with a little bit about yourself.
You know, this is the hardest part about doing these things, is talking about myself, because that's like one of the things I hate doing most is talking about myself. I mean, I'd say I'm kind of nerdy in my own way. I'm not, I've known others who are worse than I am, but I mean, I like to read books. Right. Obviously, I like to watch good films, good television. I like to play with my cat. You know, I like things to do with technology, and I'm also like the tech team at my church. So I do that. I mean, yeah, those are probably some of the more interesting things about me. I like nature. I love to go outside and consider myself an amateur photographer, but with my phone, I'm just out there taking pics. But yeah, other than that, and watching like old cartoons on the Cartoon Network and SpongeBob. think that's probably the nerdiest that I really get, to be honest with you.
Well, I would also say, I mean, wow to your show, by the way. I've listened to a few episodes and very, very impressed. And I'm nerdy about horror, so this falls right into things that I'm nerdy about. But I want a side question. What do you consider old cartoons?
Like the Jetsons, the old Scooby-Doo, the original Scooby-Doo cartoons, like, most of the Boomerang cartoons, Looney Tunes. I love Looney Tunes. Yogi Bear. That one's really good.
Ooh, yeah. Now that's going
just
back.
all of those.
So real old cartoons. I could tell by Analese's face. She was thinking you were gonna say something that came out in like the last 10 years, and we were gonna be feeling really rough.
Yes to all of those cartoons. The Jetsons, amazing. All those
Laugh Olympics. Let's go.
Laugh Olympics. So tell us a little bit about Oakbridge. Is this your first audio drama or podcast of its kind?
So this is the first one that I created. I did write on another one called Murphy's Inc. That's kind of where I got like some experience in audio dramas specifically. But I love listening to podcasts in general. That's what I do a lot at work. I love like true crime podcasts, especially. And then podcasts like yours, where I hear people give reviews and all that stuff. But other than like Oakbridge, I started a Stranger Things podcast back in 2021. So I co-host that with a good friend of mine named Jasmine. We're called Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. Check us out. But yeah, like that's pretty much right now like the two main things that I have going in the podcast community.
I think there's kind of an overlap, at least in genre, between Oakbridge and Stranger Things. Was Stranger Things like the inspiration? Is that how it all started?
It was. I wouldn't say like the inspiration. I really like the X-Files and Twin Peaks. Those are the other two big inspirations. But Stranger Things definitely holds a very special place in my heart. It's like one of the only few shows that I can binge on a regular basis and not really grow tired of it. But yeah, like I was really inspired. I wanted to do something in sci-fi that was in the realm and in something like really in the 90s, because I was born in the 90s. But also when I started working on the development of Oakbridge in 22, that was when it came out that Stranger Things would be ending after season 5, and I kind of wanted to pay homage to a show that I love so much, after it ends. And maybe there's Stranger Things fans out there who, would want to listen to Oakbridge and still, in some ways, still get those vibes, the feelings of their show, but also like something that's my own. It's very inspired by Stranger Things, but there's a mixture of all kinds of things in there. A lot of stuff that I like, not just in the sci-fi world, but like in like Shakespeare things of that nature. Jurassic Park, I love that movie. But yeah, I will say that Stranger Things is definitely a big influence on the show.
I'll say I was skeptical about Stranger Things because Netflix certainly had tried a few genre shows and had really failed at it. One of them being, I think the show was called Everything Sucks, and it was supposed to be about being a teenager in the 90s, which would have really resounded with us. But the show was awful. So Stranger Things comes about and I was really skeptical, but really impressed with how they've handled both horror and sci-fi and being a kid in the 80s. So they've really nailed it with Stranger Things.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I didn't actually start watching Stranger Things until like the third season came out. I do remember back in 2016 when they were promoting the first season, I remember like seeing something pop up on it in my Netflix feed, and I was like, I believe it was like a shot of 11, and I was like, oh, this seems kind of weird. Like, what is this, like schizo or something? And I'm like, oh no, if that would be like a show for me. And so I did not watch for like 3 years until I was in college, and my roommates were like, hey, it's Halloween, Ashley, there's a show out there we think you'll really like. And then it was actually like the second season, and I was like, wow, this is like, some of these people are looking really familiar. And then I went back and I was like, oh, that's that show that I said was like so weird, I would not want to watch that. And here I am, enjoying it
and creating a podcast about it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. You mentioned some sci-fi favorites of yours, like X-Files. Your show also, has elements of horror in it. Do you have any favorites in the horror genre at all?
I mean, I'm not really like one in particular film or TV series, but I'd say I really love a good psychological horror thriller and anything like with a laboratory. So like Aliens, I like the Aliens franchise. It's pretty good. Jurassic Park, obviously. I like the Abyss, the James Cameron film.
Yes, great movie.
Yes, I don't know why people don't enjoy that one more. I'm like, it's good. This is good stuff.
It really is. I remember we're aging ourselves a little bit. I was in 7th grade when that movie came out, and I was first in line to buy a ticket when you used to have to buy tickets and stand in lines. But I went and saw it in the theaters 3 or 4 times. The Abyss is a great film.
I didn't know you had this hidden The Abyss fandom in you.
I mean,
it is great.
It's probably been about 20 years since I've seen it, but I remember very fondly. I mean, I think that's my Stephen King background, right? That was about the same time I discovered Stephen King, and this was touted as a sci-fi horror film, and I was super excited about it. Loved it and went and saw it. I went and saw it by myself, like 7th grade. Who does that? I don't know.
Ooh, put it on the list.
I also noticed that as we are waiting for season 2 of Oakbridge, that there's now an After Dark series that's going back over. It's kind of like what does cable TV do? Like the tell-alls, or what was the thing for The Walking Dead was the Talking Dead was a big deal. And that's what these After Dark episodes come about. How is the fan reaction to these After Dark episodes?
Yeah, I think they really seem to enjoy them. I mean, they're obviously in the works before season 1 came out, but funny, like just scrolling through our Threads feeds and our Twitter feeds and seeing like some of the fans were like, we would really love a behind the scenes show, and I'm like, it's great because we have one coming soon. So yeah, it's been really, I think, been very well received. I think people, they love to get as much content as they possibly can, but also they love to hear how something is made, and they love to go behind the scenes. And I think that's probably one of the things I wish that we could do. I mean, obviously you can't do because it's an audio drama, but I wish that we could like have, filming behind the scenes. But we try to get the pictures out of the actors like in their booths and stuff, just so people can see like their setup and all that. But yeah, I mean, you can still have some good behind the scenes content like that for an audio drama.
People love that idea. Like, I think back to when people would buy the DVDs just so they could get like the creator commentary tracks on the end, or like the watch alongs and those kinds of things. So there's definitely an audience for that, where people really, they really love the product and they want to know all aspects of it. With that, obviously podcasting is a great medium for an audio drama, right? It's perfect. It's the new radio, and with everything that we have social media wise, we can get things out there. But what advice do you have, or what has made your journey so successful in going with the audio drama medium in podcasting?
I mean, I think it's a combination of things, but I'll say that I think the biggest thing for us is just continuing to get the word out there on social media as much as we can. I think that's been a tremendous help, because a lot of, just on what I've seen out there, is a lot of it's word of mouth. So people are like, we're getting in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And so like people are noticing us. And the way I like to kind of like do things with that is, I try to follow as many of like the trends as possible, but also put my own spin on it and say, hey, we are an audio drama, but there's still software and things out there, like graphic design software and things like that are very easy to use and very cost efficient, like Canva and Adobe and things like that, where you can still make quality promotional materials like movies and television studios do to promote an audio drama. You just have to be a little bit more creative with it, because obviously you don't have visual images like you do with those things. So that's kind of what we try to do, is just we try to say, hey, we're an audio drama, but we can still do what the visual guys do.
100%.
Cool.
I have a little confession to make that nobody in this room knows, but actually I seriously considered auditioning for season 2. I had that Google form open on my laptop for weeks and decided not to at the end.
Why did you do
it? I'll tell you 2 reasons why. One, I noticed that there are some real trained professionals out there who are in these shows, and that is certainly not me. But to Ashley, if you don't know this, I'm a high school principal, and I just worried about not having the time to commit. And ultimately I ended up closing the Google form before I submitted, but really looking forward to season 2. I'm near ending season 1. Any hints or surprises for us and your fans as we look forward to season 2?
I wish I could tell you everything because you seem like such nice people. If there anybody I was going to spill the beans to, it would probably be you off the record. Okay. But no, we're in principal recording right now. We're making some good progress there. I mean, I would say we'd probably be done hopefully within like very, very soon within the next month or so. But I have been able to like hear some of the audio coming out there and it sounds really good. I'm very, very satisfied so far in terms of the dialogue. It'll be out sometime next year. Yeah, I'd say that
sounds like no spoilers for you, Analese.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily looking for that, but maybe something to hook us in or
no
prizes for us. All right. It was worth a try.
I'll say that season 2 is definitely our world building season. Just getting to know our characters more. Tonally, it's a little bit more mature than season 1. The run times are a little bit longer than season 1, but it's for us, our characters in season 2, it'll be a lot about learning how they respond or react when dealt certain situations, because it'll be key moving forward throughout the series. And that's all I'll say this time. And we're going to lean a little bit more into the horror elements in season 2.
Awesome.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
So listeners should look for you on Threads, Instagram, where can they find you?
Website, podcatcher, where do we point our listeners to?
Yeah, so you can follow Oakbridge on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, Facebook, all at Oakbridge Show. We're also on YouTube, but you can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Podcatcher, Podbean, like all the major podcasting platforms. We're out there. Literally, all you have to do is just type in Oakbridge audio drama and it'll pop up.
Beautiful. Oakbridge. We're going to get some subscribers from our listenership and do this crossover. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks for talking nerdy with us. Send in your deep thoughts, nerd questions, or talk nerdy to me subjects that you'd like us to cover by sliding into our DMs or send these topics to podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. And Rob, now it's on to our 25 for 2025. Rob, can you believe we're here? Before we even had a podcast, we were doing this, and you started like in 18, right?
Yeah, 18 for 18. I think it was definitely the first one.
Yeah.
And now here we are in 25 for 25. Yeah, I've got some thoughts.
I know I joined 20 for 2020, and that got super interrupted because everything got interrupted that year in 2020. But I also think it kicked off my curse for these lists, and that is never finishing them. But we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, is that what happened? Is it your fault? Is that why I can't finish my 25 for 25?
Yeah, I think it's the
the
pandemic's fault more than mine, but let's go with that. For anyone who's new, this is a list that Rob and his family started after hearing it in a podcast back in 2018 or 2017 and started 2018, where you listed 18 things, 18 nerd goals. I know that the podcast you listened to was really more about personal wellness and things along that instead of New Year's resolutions. We have it as nerd goals. So, we all know we have health goals on there and financial goals and become better people goals. But what are the nerdy things? That is
the biggest, like the philosophy behind it was kind of an anti-New Year's resolution. The New Year's resolution classically is reductive or punishing, right? It's, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to enjoy this. I have to give up this, that, and the other. Kind of like a Lent, like very like American Protestant mindset kind of thing. And we're like, no, this is about you and about having, what do you want to do in the new year? What are your goals for things that are fun, exciting, that you're going to prioritize over the like humdrum, dregs of regular life? You're going to look at this goal and be inspired of like, hey, that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to hike to that waterfall. I wanted to paint that miniature. I wanted to play this game with my friends. I'm going to get it done this year. And it's all fun things. It's not about punishing or giving up. It's about prioritizing the fun, nerdy things that are in our lives.
So as we talk about and reflect on our 24 for 2024 and talk about our new plans for 25, let's also take a note that as these year numbers have gotten larger, the list gets longer because there's 24 things on last year's list. There's 25 things. And in earlier years, it might have been capable going, I'm going to read 20 books in 2020. Now we're starting to get to these bigger numbers. 25 new shows or movies might be a little difficult to accomplish. So what we started to do was 2 plus 4. So I'm going to go on 2 plus 4 hikes. So 6 hikes total.
Yeah.
So a few on my list, I don't know. I'm sure you did the same thing. And then Dr. Intern Joan, don't know if that's a route you took as well, but 2 plus 5 means 7 of these things. So let's get into
Joan, this is your first time joining us for the New Year's podcast, but I know that you've listened. Did you do a 24 for 24?
I did not, because I chose a theme for my 2024. And so everything that fit under that theme. So now
I love that, and I want to hear more about it because and we'll get to this. Spoiler alert, I might be burnt out on 20 whatever for 20 whatever. So I'm very interested in your theme.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about 2024 and whether we called it a 24 for 24 or just your themed goals for the year. What was your favorite goal that you accomplished this year?
I was looking at mine, and again, mine this year was a lot of hobby stuff and gaming stuff. And so while I got a lot done on the mission accomplished list, I think my favorite project was the Masters of the Universe Clash for Eternia game. It's the first miniature tabletop skirmish game / board game that I've had that wasn't like, I don't know, like grim dark or very like classic and realistic or gritty, right? Because you're usually putting together armies or forces that are fighting and stuff. This is based after a cartoon. It's based on the He-Man cartoon. So it was a chance for everything to be like really bright and colorful and different from the way I usually paint things. I had a wonderful time painting up the core box for this and all the terrain, and it's very bright. It got me to use, paints that I don't use a lot, like all the bright pinks and purples and blues and yellows, and just really make it over the top, bright and colorful, which I did, and I focused. I was having so much fun. It went by like a breeze, and then I've got to play it a couple times. I went through and played it solo and got the things out on the board, and they were looking really good. And then we'll talk later about an event we had when Analese and I tried to play it, but even though that maybe didn't go according to plan, I think the rule set is really solid. I think it's easy to pick up. It's pretty quick. Once you get into the rhythm of, the turn order, it goes pretty quickly. The miniatures look great on the board. As I look at all of the different projects and things that I completed this year, I'm like, that one probably brought me the most joy. I think it was finishing, painting, and playing the Masters of the Universe Clash for Eternity game.
Yeah, and listeners, if you're not following Rob on Instagram or our Instagram, you're missing out on how beautifully he painted. It's like picking up the toy from the 80s when you used to have the little rubber band and you twist at the waist and go.
Yeah.
I mean, He-Man looks just like that. It's Rob did a really good job, and the game looks gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you. I know that Joan's going to talk about her theme, and I want to get to that. So I'm going to go to you now, Analese. What was the favorite goal that you achieved?
I'm a Stephen King fan for life, have been since I was 12. And until this year, I can now label myself as maybe a passive fan before 2024, because he got a new book coming out, a new movie. I'll go watch it. I'll read it. I'll go to the bookstore and get myself the new book, and I'll read it, and I love it. And I love everything about Stephen King. On my 24 for 24, I did 2 plus 4 reread of Stephen King books that I had read. And I had a little list of rules. Like I had to have been over 20 years ago. I couldn't have read it twice. And then I gave myself permission to do audiobooks instead of rereading the physical book for time's sake. I aimed for 6 rereads of books. I doubled that number and actually nearly finished a 13th book before the end of 2024. Got really, really close. I've never felt more immersed in his work. It reignited the things I loved about it as a teenager and now revisiting it as a full-grown adult heading towards 50, and just how impactful his writing and his stories have been on my life, and how much I love horror genre because of him. Like, I grew up watching Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Halloween, and I really loved horror movies, but my love for the genre really came through Stephen King. So I just want to real quick list out, this is not in order, but real quick, here's the 13 books that were on reread. And one of the 13, I actually read the physical book, but I'll get to that in a second. So the audiobooks were Needful Things, The Green Mile, Christine, Bag of Bones, Hearts in Atlantis, Carrie, The Dead Zone, Misery, Rose Matter, The Dark Half, It, and the one I nearly finished before the end of 2024 was 4 Past Midnight. And here's the funny thing about 4 Past Midnight is that was the very first Stephen King book I ever read. I was 12 years old and had to convince the librarian at the Santa Barbara Public Library to let me check it out because it's horror. And it was
we'll blame her,
back then it was like, this is from the adult library, not from the kids library kind of deal. And I'm like, no, but I watch like Halloween. This is totally fine. And then the one physical book I read was You Like It Darker, and that's because it was a new collection of short stories that he released in 2024. What that ended up doing is spawning a whole bunch of other things. I rewatched films that I hadn't seen in 20 plus years, like Christine. I watched the Mr. Mercedes series on Peacock app. I finally watched both the Tim Curry It and the newer versions of It. I started listening to the Losers Club podcast, which is years and years old, but I had never listened to a Stephen King podcast. Like, I have immersed myself in Stephen King this year, boosted off of that goal. So it was my favorite one, and I'm repeating it on 25 in a different manner, but it's been phenomenal to get back into really being a fan of Stephen King.
So it sounds like you definitely found joy because you had a goal and you more than doubled it. Did that also lead to ignoring other things on your list?
100%, yes.
Yeah, because that happened to me too.
And I'm okay with it. I'm okay. 24, I did not finish my 24, and I'm okay with that because some of these goals sparked so much joy that I continued with them even long after hitting the goal, which is kind of the point. Right?
It is. It's supposed to be fun. That's the whole idea. Although I do find, especially as these numbers are climbing up, that I'm like, well, it's making me feel bad, which is why I'm very excited to hear about Joan. So Joan, you said it's not a 24. You didn't have a 24 for 24. You had a theme, and I'm very interested in that. So please start with the theme, and then we'll talk about what your favorite thing that you did within that theme was.
Sure. The pandemic was really rough on therapists. I mean, in general, everybody, but therapists were getting more referrals than ever. Wait lists were so long. All of us were like burnt out, like by the end of all of that. I changed jobs with hopes that it would get better. Spoiler alert, it did not. But I named 2024 my comeback era. And so I made this fun little mind map, and I put categories of things I wanted to kind of get back to.
Okay.
Which includes getting back into all of the nerd things I enjoy. Because during that time, I basically did none of those things. I was working or I was zoning out and not doing anything.
To our listener, I just want to say real quick, Joan held up a nice, maybe a half sheet that was color coded, and it said 2024, my comeback era, with arrows of 6 different areas.
Would you be comfortable sharing those 6 different areas for your theme?
Yeah.
Okay.
1, movement, hobbies, a quiet, calm home, spirituality, career, and relationships.
Beautiful.
This is incredible.
And so then my favorite one was I decided that new job wasn't for me, and I quit and I started a private practice, and now I'm going to do whatever my nerdy heart wants all the time with my clients without the restriction of the healthcare system.
Love it.
Let's go.
Favorite. Hands down, best decision I ever made last year.
Did it feel like a risk when you were doing it? Or did you know, like, no, this is the next step, I'm going to be okay? Or
I thought it was going to be part-time, but then that job didn't treat me so well health-wise, job details. So it started sooner than I thought it would, and it went full-time sooner than I thought it would.
Okay, right on. I think that sounds like something that probably took a lot of courage. So very cool. And what a way to start your comeback. Absolutely love that.
Well, so let's look towards 2025. Are there any on last year's lists or goals or themes that you don't think you're going to repeat this year?
I am not putting any kind of big house projects on my list ever again. I was somebody who would take off all my kitchen cabinets and repaint them or refurbish this piece of furniture. I no thanks. If it doesn't come ready made, I don't want it. I don't want to paint baseboards. I don't want to do any of that. I want someone else to do it, or I want to have it already be done for me. No thanks. There's other things for me to be doing.
I love that. And I commiserate. I remember when I was a homeowner and I did all of those things. We painted everything and we ripped up all the carpets and put in hardwood floors, and we replaced all of the counters, and we remodeled, redid the landscaping in the backyard and all of these things that I would never do now. It sounds awful.
Nope. Too many other things to be doing that are nerdy. Not those things. What about you, Analese?
I am going to keep off my list anything that has to do with health goals or finances. Because I'm staying staunch in the belief that I don't need a goals list to improve my health. I don't need a goals list to feel guilty about working out or not working out. There's just different ways for me personally to achieve those things. I have found when I don't have them on my list, it's for some reason, it's easier for me to achieve what I want to get out of the year. I have left off anything in that realm for my 25 because I just need to do it, and I don't need to gamify it. I just need to do it. That's where I'm at.
Cool. I'm with you. I didn't put anything like that on my list either because I just want to be fat and happy.
I mean, that's another way to say
a big old slob.
However, it just allows me to do it without the internal guilt of, oh, I put this on my list and I haven't even started it yet. And then it feels like a chore instead of a joy. And when I work out consistently, it's a joy versus
I have, in that realm, I also had health goals on my list this year because I remember last year at this time, we were talking about, well, I didn't, and it wasn't a very healthy year, so I want to make sure I do that. It did encourage me to do cool, great things, even though I didn't hit weight loss numbers or anything specific like that. I definitely got outside more. I took more walks on the beach. I take I have a regular habit of being outdoors more and doing more active things. We had schedule and job changes in our family this year that allows us to, every morning, Maria and I are now taking a sunrise walk before work together. That's awesome. And it's super cute and it's super nice. But the only reason we are doing that is because I was taking those morning before work walks because it was on my 24 for 24 list and going to all these different places. And so now we do that together. But you're right. I don't need that on my list to make me feel like, hey, I'm doing these walks every day and I'm trying to look at my calories every day, but I didn't hit the number. I had the goal of dropping 24 pounds in 2024. I dropped 12 pounds this year.
Hey.
And I feel like garbage about it because it was only halfway to my goal.
A goal.
So,
yeah.
so that didn't work.
Because that's significant. That's,
sure.
That's a percentage of your body fat. That's 12 pounds is nothing to be shy about.
Yeah, but then I'm looking at it back in October. I'm looking at it oh no, I got to lose 12 pounds in 2 months. I guess I'll cut off an arm.
So it's about rethinking what those goals look like without putting that numeric on it. So it doesn't need to be on
because
the list.
Again, it's supposed to be fun.
Beyond those health goals, Rob, is there anything that you might not repeat this year?
Yes, absolutely. One of those things would be finishing or anything to do with a D&D campaign. Here is what I have learned. I have had the goal finish Princes of the Apocalypse, the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, on my list since the first one, since 18 for 18. Apparently, they just take as long as they're going to take. And you can't rush them, and there's different sidetracks, and adult people have different schedules, and I have rolled that one over every single year for 5-6 years, and it's I'm not going to do it anymore. That game is either not going to ever end, or it will. I can't do anything about it. It's not a goal.
I don't even know how you can put that on your list, because Adam moved to Michigan. How do you even...
Well, that's the thing. That game has now, I think it's dead. Maybe it'll come back. But if I put it on the list again, then am I forcing it and I'm going to figure that out? Or did it just go away? So either way, it's not going to happen. And it was a bad idea to put those goals on there because I wanted to finish. I was I'm going to prep and I'm going to get the minis and I'm going to do the paint. That was the idea behind it. Was it was an in-person game and it was maxed out to the nines, every 3D printed terrain, giant dungeon maps, custom minis, painted everything. And I really enjoyed that. But I was so the idea was it was going to motivate me to do all those things because we're going to get through this game and I'm going to push this game. but it lasted 6+ years, and now I think it's over. Maybe it'll have a comeback someday. But what I learned from that was those things will happen organically. They'll happen when they happen. Don't put a number on it. Don't put a finite date on it, because it's all arbitrary. Just let it breathe. It doesn't have to be a goal.
Well, and I think it was safe to say the More Sane campaign had a finite date of ending. We knew it was going to end in 2022 when it was 2023. So that made sense for that to be on your list then, because
they all do, right? But like if I were going to put, so we're playing in Tomb of Annihilation. And we're getting towards where that is. It's very reasonable to think we'll finish that game in 2025. But if I make that a goal, then what's the point of that? Am I like pushing it? Am I skipping things? Am I not letting it just breathe and take its natural course? That's the lesson I learned there.
No D&D campaign goals, but maybe other D&D type goals?
Absolutely. I think we can get to that later as far as like where my goals for this year have gone, but I've definitely reframed my thinking about that. Yes.
Right on. All right. Well, so how about something you didn't achieve in 2024, but you did put back on this year's list?
Yeah, I found myself doing this weird thing. So I had some books on my list. Joan, don't listen. You're going to think I'm sacrilegious, but a few, like a handful of books. But I think it was 6 books, 2 plus 4 books that I wanted to either reread or go back and read. By read, I mean, I don't know, I'm going to listen to an audiobook while I'm painting miniatures or, doing my other stuff. And I found myself doing this weird thing that I didn't know that I was even capable. I didn't finish them. Like I started these books and didn't finish them. Not because I didn't like them, but I think I got in this weird place where I was like, oh, there's only 45 minutes left of this book. It's going to get really good. I want to make sure that I'm paying attention. So I shouldn't listen to it right now. And then they just never happened. And so I've got 4 audiobooks with 40 to 35 minutes, like the last chapter or 2 left on them that I never finished. What is that?
Were they not that good? And you just didn't want to finish them?
That wasn't what I was telling myself. What I was telling myself was like, oh, this is going to be the finale. I need to really pay attention. So now's not the time to listen to it. But maybe subconsciously I was like, I don't want to get let down by this ending. I'll stop it. I don't know. But I have these books that I want to read on my list. So they're going to move over and they should be like an easy check off to finish. But weird, right? As much of a completist and obsessive compulsive person as I am, for me to have 4 different unfinished books in my Audible library is very strange to me.
And maybe you really just don't want to finish them. I mean, that happened to one of my Stephen King books. I got the audiobook of Under the Dome, which was another 40-hour book like it. I loved reading that chunky, thick novel. I loved the TV series that came out, and I started to listen to it and I went, and I think I got 2 or 3 hours in and I stopped. I just went, this is not capturing me right now.
But he finished.
It's very strange.
He went all the way though to the very, very end.
Right.
Maybe I just got to that revelation in a different way.
Maybe so. Joan, you're a voracious reader. Has this ever happened?
I have 100
Is this a phenomenon?
Right. I have 100-page rule. If I don't like it by the time I'm 25% audio, 100-page paper, it's out. I can't. There's too much to read.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's I just want to get onto the next thing. I don't know. I'm finding myself doing that with some podcasts I listen to and some YouTubes that I watch. I'm like, this just isn't bringing me joy anymore. I think I'm done. And I've seen that with TV series. You'll watch a TV series. You're like, oh, I love that show. And you'll watch season 1. Oh, that was great. Season 2. Oh my gosh, even better. Season 3. Season 4. Oh, why am I still watching this? Well, I have to finish it kind of thing. Maybe I don't.
You archive those books, move on.
Guess so.
Or stop thinking that you have to pay attention to it, because you do most of your listening when you're painting and stuff anyway. So just put it on.
I think they're going to be I think it's going to be good momentum building for this year as I knock those off real quick. But just a really weird thing that I noticed. Who's next? What's rolling over to next year?
That's me. I did 2,400 words on something that I'm working on writing and 24 hours of Spanish study. I didn't achieve either of those. I actually didn't work on the project that I'm writing at all, but I do want to finish it. So it is something that I find joy in and am excited about the potential of finishing, but it also is very related to the work I'm doing right now. So it just feels like I need to balance that with actually achieving the things I need to achieve in my job in order to write about them. So it will continue to roll over year after year until I'm done and able to have the info and the data on culture change in schools to be able to write it. And then the Spanish study, I have a lifetime subscription to Rosetta Stone. It should be super easy for me. It's just about carving the brain time to spend, and I don't have to spend an hour each time. Like I can do a 10-minute lesson. So I just have to be a little bit more disciplined. I'll also say painting goals and gaming goals, playing some of my board games will roll over year after year, no matter what. Those ones will just stay whether I achieve them or not. That's my rollover.
So Joan, you did it a little bit differently, but is there anything on there that like is still a work in progress on your comeback?
Absolutely. I wanted to learn how to sew last year. I have a sewing machine. I've touched it to do some square lines. I make like coasters, so I can do a solid straight line, but nothing else. I want to make some clothes, or I don't know, even when I make pajama pants, something. So learning to sew a little more thoroughly is a holdover.
Rob, did you know that Dr. Intern Joan is like a master crocheter?
Oh, yeah?
Not knitting, right? It's crochet.
It's crocheting. One needle.
Master crochet, and all throughout college made cardinal and gold blankets for all of her friends, and I have one that I still have, and they're amazing blankets.
That's fantastic. There are many people in my family who are the same way, mostly knitting. I know crochet was a thing. I think it started with like cross stitch, and then there was some crochet, and now it's very much knitting, especially with my mother and my sister. My sister knits like I paint miniatures. Like,
oh my God, her knits are crazy good.
She literally every day wears a sweater she made herself, and her son wears a sweater that she made herself, and there's scarves everywhere, and they never stop. It's incredible.
That's amazing. Does she Instagram? Can I follow her?
She does, but I don't know if she's private.
That's a good question.
We can find
Yeah.
we can find her name.
I don't know if she wants. You know what?
Right?
That's a great. Great question for next time we get
Inspiration
together.
is everywhere.
It's like, hey, do
My
you have
favorite
goals
thing-
for 2025 of being more public with your amazing knitting skills?
I will say the most amazing thing I see her do is that like her son, as he's grown up, will be like, I want an elephant and like she figures out how to make that. I want a purple elephant. She figures out how to make a purple elephant. Like it's
Every
cool.
Is it every birthday he
has a color
new
theme?
stuffed animal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, what's new for this year? What's new for 2025? What's something that wasn't part of your goals last year that is on your goals for this year?
I'm going to jump in. I was invited to intern on the podcast. I am going to attempt to grow this podcast. I'm going to do some marketing for y'all. We're going to brainstorm for this year and put some new things into place that hopefully will.
Because
Heck
Dr.
yes!
Jones doesn't do anything half-assed. She's going all the way, cranking it to 11.
And that is, I've never done something like this before. So it's a new way just to indulge my creativity and support two people that I enjoy being around and spend more time with.
I'm going to speak on behalf of Rob as well. We absolutely are so thankful for the time that you're putting in to help us grow this podcast, because I think Rob has said it many episodes. It's never been a better time to be a fan of Nerd Best Friends because of all of the things that you are helping us promote and pull in and reach out, and just it's been so amazing this season. We're so thankful.
And it's never been a better time to be a Nerd Best Friend, because I think, Dr. Joan, that you have infused life into the podcast and given a new and different energy that I very much appreciate.
Heck yes. I am going to, what I have put on my list is a focus of getting rid of shit. It is just time to get rid of stuff and going through the garage. And I am having less of a struggle internally about just throwing things into a donation pile. It's going,
Good.
it's gone. So my goal for this year that's new is I'm going to clear out our garage, and it's time to get rid of all these collections of things that my nerdy heart no longer sings for, and it's just sitting in a bin in the garage. So it's time. That is my goal, that by December of 2025, as we're turning over the new year, I can stand in my garage and have a party.
Ooh, now that's cool, because that fulfills the need, but also there's like a tangible like victory at the end.
I don't care if it's a party for one, because it's not an insulated garage and it's cold here in December, but I will freeze my butt off in a nice, clear, organized garage. It's going to happen this year.
Excellent. I wish I had a garage. Hey, 3D printing, nice clean garage, little workshop.
Check me in 2026 once I clean out the
2026, we're going
garage.
to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. That is fantastic. I will say, one of the things that I have found, as I have also gone through phases of like cleaning stuff out like that and just kind of pulling the Band-Aid off and saying, you know what? I haven't looked at this in so long. That means it doesn't bring me joy anymore, whatever the like Marie Kondo thing is. I'm going to get rid of it. And I did.
Joy.
And then I found out other people in my life would have really liked to have that. Is that weird? I like have friends and they're like, oh yeah, I was at the thrift store and I found this book and I haven't seen it in 30 years. So I picked it up. I'm like, I could have given you that book. I threw it away.
Sounds like a wonderful time to use your social medias to put up their best friends. Hey,
Yep.
we'll secondhand some of that.
Is it
To our
gonna
listeners.
be the Coca-Cola collection, Analese?
It's gone.
Oh, that's already gone.
Yeah. And
Oh.
it's funny you mentioned that because former guest Andrea, once she found out that I had all this stuff, she's like, I would have taken all of that stuff. You're right. It happened. I was able to give her some things that were left. Like when I left, I want to say from Vegas to Toledo, I sent her pictures of everything that I had left and sent her a bunch of stuff. So, but it might have been even Toledo back to Santa Barbara. I don't remember which way that landed, but you're right. There's times where that's happened. And also to kind of pull from Joan's point, having a digital record of these things is also helping. Like I'm just taking pictures of stuff and then just recycling and taking pictures of stuff and saying like, I don't need to keep it anymore. How you do the comic book covers
Yeah.
in a folder of pictures. Like I don't need to keep the comic books anymore. I've read it. It's over. I'm not necessarily going to ever read it again. So now I can just move it on to the next thing. And I'm doing a lot of goodwill because it will spark joy for somebody. I am well aware of that. And I've also put some things up on eBay, although I will say I'm getting really disillusioned with eBay. Just quick tangent. I am noticing more and more that people are constantly trying to scam. And I don't mean scam on the front end. I mean, they send me the money, I mail out the thing, but it has happened consistently. I've been smart enough to do tracking for everything that I'm sending out. Every single time I've sold something in the last handful of months, I get an email about a week after it shows delivered saying, I haven't received this item yet. Can you send the proof of da, da, da? And so every single time I send them a picture of the package with their address on it, a screenshot of the address from the eBay sale, and then a screenshot of the delivery notification. I hear nothing back. And it's been very clear. And this is probably because of Amazon. Amazon, you can just say you didn't receive anything and they're just going to send another one out. And I think people take advantage of that. I think that's also eked into like eBay and all those other sales sites that
Insurance fraud.
Yeah, without having done those steps, I would have had to pay those people back out of my pocket, right?
Ridiculous.
So I'm getting disillusioned with all of it because people are being weird. Like I sold some stuff from Comic-Con. It was high retail value stuff that I had picked up at Comic-Con and sold it for a good amount of money. And all three of the items I sold with like almost in expected 1 week after delivery. I haven't received this item yet. I'm opening up a case with eBay.
Even though you had the picture of the package on the doorstep.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So anyways, that being said, I've sold some things. I'll continue to try to sell some things, but I'm not going to put that much effort into it. I just want to get rid of it. It's
Another tangent related. My son's iPhone got stolen twice.
That's cool.
Get this. So I ordered him a new phone for his birthday. Part of it is like, you can always get a discount if you trade in your old phone, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, I want to trade in this old phone. The package got delivered. It was on the porch, came to it, picked it up. That's definitely empty, and kind of looked at the side, and it was definitely like unfolded and somebody had ripped the thing out. Yeah. But it wasn't like a porch pirate situation because I got it immediately. Like I was home when I got the notification, all like, your phone has arrived. So I opened the door and there it was, and it was empty. So it was probably the FedEx guy.
Someone within the...
Or in the somewhere in that process of the delivery. Yes. They just like unfolded the box all slyly and grabbed the thing out. So had to open a case, had to do this whole thing, had to talk to people on the phone, like get it taken care of, whatever. Finally, that was resolved. The phone came and it's like, oh, you have to send your old phone back, right? To get the discount. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Put it in the package. I misread it. I thought I had read UPS, but it was actually USPS. So I took it to the UPS store and like dumped it in their thing. They returned it. They're like, oh, this is the wrong label, and sent me the picture of like, here's the phone, here's the box in your mailbox. We returned it to you. Got home from work that day. It was gone. So it got stolen. Both phones got stolen.
Somebody's watching you.
Wild. That happened to me when I was living in Vegas, and I had bought my ex-wife an iPod, and when you can engrave on the back, and it was like her birthday was on Christmas, so I had to like buy it a certain time to get it delivered. It showed delivered to an address in Vegas that didn't exist. And so I think the delivery person just made up an address and kept it themselves, which made no sense because it was a very personal engraving on the back of that iPod. But yeah, it's wild, some of the scams that people do.
New
Rob,
goals
what
for
is-
2025.
What is your new goal for 2025?
I'm also going to piggyback off Jones. I am quitting the Nerd Best Friends podcast and moving on to other opportunities. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay. Joan will be my nerd best friend.
Listen, it's only
I'm
up
here
from
for
here.
you.
No matter what happens, it's all up from here.
No.
I have some professional growth goals coming up this year. I'm going to be enrolling in some professional development, certification programs, and all kinds of stuff. I know that it's going to take a lot of my time and attention, and I think that it is important for where I am on my path right now. So knowing that I'm going to be giving myself a little bit of leeway when it comes to my nerd hobbies and those things bringing me joy. Like, I enjoy my painting and my gaming and my 3D printing. I love all of those things. And I think that having them on my like tangible list gets them done, unlike the audiobooks apparently. But knowing that, you know, we have our miniature painting like group chat. I like being the guy who posts a picture every week. Like, this is my miniature of the week. So it does push me, especially later on in the week, like on a Friday night, I'm tired and stuff. I look at the clock, like, oh my gosh, it's 9:00. I could totally go to bed. It's been a long week. I'm like, but I could also stay up and paint a little bit, make sure I do something. And even on the weekdays, it's like, oh, what if I just did one thing to that model to make sure that I get it done by Sunday? Because that's like a fun thing to do. I'm going to have to give myself a little bit of leeway on things like that and not have quite so many like, hey, I have to play D&D 3 times a week. I have to get a miniature all the way completed every Sunday. I have to build a model every Thursday. Like, those kinds of things are just going to have to go. So that's what's new, is I'm not going to be choking my list full of deadlines and fun hobby projects. I really am looking more forward to something like Joan is describing, where I have a theme from the year, and how do these different aspects of my life and person all work together in that theme to make sure that by the time we're talking in 2026, I feel accomplished and happy and like a good person.
That's awesome. And then you become C3TO.
And then I become C3PO.
We have new goals. We have goals that we didn't return for this new year. But what's a notable nerd goal for you for 2025? What's something, I won't even say the thing that sparked joy yet, because sometimes we don't know, but what's notable for you on your lists?
One of the things on my list, I had different things on my list, a lot of things of like building, painting, modeling, and playing. A lot of the things that are still in the projects category and didn't get moved over to in progress or mission accomplished were goals about playing games. And so I've spoken before about the cool like board game analytics insight app that I use and like log all my games, my inventory of games, how I play them, or when I play them, who I play them with, all of these kinds of things. So I had one goal that I was very set on for 2024, which was to play more games with my son, Andrew, America's favorite podcast nerd. And sure enough, I did. He was like 4th place in the list of people I played with back in 2023, and he's definitely 2nd place, like right neck and neck with me. I feel very good and accomplished about that goal. I played 77 games in 2024, and Andrew played 66 of them with me.
Nice.
So that, like, mission accomplished. I definitely did that. So 77 games this year. Last year I played 112. Or 2 years ago, I played 112.
Yeah.
So while I accomplished something on one end, I definitely played like 40 fewer games in 2024 than I had in 2023. So I'm painting and building and preparing all of these things because I'm like, I got to get that box done. I got to get that box done. And I hit a lot of those marks, but I got that box done. And then I never shared it with anyone. We never actually played the game and did the setup and those kinds of things. And so while I know that those professional growth goals that I have are going to be taking me out of the house and away from the family at many times, it really makes it more important or more notable that the playing of games and spending time with people in the hobby should be the focus for 2025 for me.
Mine's along the same lines as that, Rob. I don't think I played Return to Dark Tower a single time in 2024. And I love that game. And it's got solo play. I think I only played Final Girl maybe 4 or 5 times, and those were were in chunks where I could leave the board out and just play another game the next day over the course of a weekend. I want to play my games more, and I'm expecting any day now to get the shipping notice of Final Girl Series 3. So I'm super stoked to get it and paint it and set it all up. I opened some games in Series 2 to play and realized like I hadn't even sleeved the cards.
Yeah.
Like, they had just sat there. So I'm right there with you, also on my notable list of actually playing the games. And I don't know that I have not yet put a number on them on my 25 for 2025. I don't know that I want a number. I want to figure out how to get myself enthused again to open up the box, set it up, and play. And I do think the new nerd room is helping with that, since I could leave things out on the table and close the door, so my cat doesn't come and eat the meeples. But that's really notable for me as well. Like, I love playing that stuff. I love Mansions of Madness, and I have it in my head most weekends. Like, I have about an hour. I should play Mansions of Madness. I don't know. And by the time I'm like thinking about it and maybe getting up to do it, I don't do it. So I'm right there with you on, I don't even think I logged a single thing on Board Game Geek or the stats app at all. I don't think I even
really? You weren't into it? Well, I can tell you, if you want to know, that we played Icewind Dale 17 times, and we played Tomb of Annihilation 11 times, and we played, coming soon in the bonus episode, Masters of the Universe once.
You know,
but I will tell you, so you know, you are your third place on my list. We played 35 games together this year.
That's not bad. I'm glad to know that, because it feels like I didn't hardly play anything at all, because I don't have those numbers in front of me. I didn't log them in. So I definitely want to do more. I want to bring out Return to Dark Tower. I want to play the expansion set. I'm excited to do those things, and I'm just not even disciplined, right? It's just, my job's so tiring that when I get to the weekends, I kind of just lounge around, take a walk. But I want to do more things for myself when I have those times and weekends, and not just wait for winter break when I played a ton of Final Girl in the Krampus game again, and painted a bunch over winter break. I want to do it more consistently throughout the year to make myself happy. I also will just note that I put more travel. I didn't even put a number to that too on my 25. I want to travel more. I think I had 3 trips a year. Like, I'm not putting a number to it. I just want to travel more. By the way, in like 4 days from now, I'm going to be leaving on a plane and meeting up with Dr. Intern Joan and some of our college friends for a big trip to Cancun. So, I mean, I'm starting off 2025 with that. Like, I got my passport. Let's go. I'm ready to travel more. I'm so excited for that, Joan, by the way.
Oh my God, you're going to love it so much. It's your first year. It's my second year. I hope it's everything it was the first time and more.
I didn't even bother to like geek out about all the excursions. I'm just going to go. And I'm looking forward to it. It's a bucket list item for me, going to an all-inclusive resort by itself. I'm like, how many agua minerals am I going to be able to drink in 5 days? I want to figure that out. Oh, Rob,
Joan,
wait till you see my Untapped.
I hope so. Let's light it up.
You see my Untapped from this Mexico resort. It's gonna be off the hook. They have a beer tasting night.
Annalese, I might finish Untapped this year.
You might max out at 100 of everything.
We'll see. More to come on that. If I do, we're doing a whole episode on it. All right.
Figure it out. Let's go to Joan.
I like that your goals are, I hear intention in them. I put my psychologist hat on. I hear intention. I want to spend time with my people. Rob, I'm going to develop my career. Annalese, I want to travel. I want experiences. To me, it speaks all of hands-on. I've been freaking spending too much time this winter season on my phone, just doing whatever.
Ooh.
So my hands-on thing, I'm going to challenge myself to bake 1 to 2 new cookies every month of next year. I found a 1964 Betty Crocker cookie book.
Oh my.
And I'm just going to pick some and I'm going to go for it. So
That's the real stuff. That's like 10 pounds of butter and lots of brown sugar. Oh man, I'm jealous.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to see what those recipes have to teach me.
Hey, my favorite cookie is oatmeal chocolate chip. So if you find a good recipe, let me know.
Okay, I'll do it.
I love me an oatmeal chocolate chip. That's a good call.
It's like the goodness of the oatmeal, but the greatness of chocolate chip instead of raisin.
And to me, that's a breakfast cookie. I'm just saying,
Heck yes.
There's oatmeal in it, so
heck yes.
A breakfast cookie.
Yeah.
A breakfast cookie.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
I think that's great. You're right. Like an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie with coffee is amazing. Like I think there's breakfast pies. Like I think apple pie and I think pumpkin pie are breakfast pies. Like you have leftover of those, you eat them for breakfast, right?
Just a pastry without the top part.
There you go.
Agreed.
Well, as we look to wrap up what we're planning for this year, is there something you can note that repeats year after year after year, no matter what? And Joan, I invite you to go first this time.
Yeah, I'll take it. My reading goal always stands. I aim low and then achieve big. I think the end of last year, I ended with 160 something books between audio and not, and it'll stay the same.
This is the numbers that just what? For Dr. Intern Joan, aiming low is like, I'm only going to read 100 books, but I made 167.
Insane.
I really do say 2 a week. And so I say 104 books. That's usually what I'm like, that's a good number. And
Which, I mean, listen, it's wild. I can't imagine.
It's amazing.
But also, I painted 365 miniatures in 2023. So,
so same. It's the same similar quantity,
It could
sheer
happen.
quantity. Oh, well, if Analese hadn't introduced me to Mr. Mercedes, I wouldn't have went on the Holly Gibney trilogy excursion. So she contributed to that, and I will continue.
With the time on your phone, do you find that it's like, is it like the social media, like time sync and the doom scrolling that we all battle with? Or is it something else?
No, I play the stupid coloring game app and the stupid one of those matchy games.
Gotcha. It's the games.
It's those 2 games. And so I just need to be out of my chair somewhere else.
Perfect.
Well, I'll match Joan with reading goals, although my reading goals every year is 12. One a month, if I can get to it. So I think there was only 1 year, and it was the year that I moved here to Ukiah, that I didn't hit the 12 in the year, but pretty consistently for like the past 7 or 8 years, I've been at least 12. And this year I did 13 because I did 12 Stephen King books by itself. And then we read the Wonder Woman Historia was the only one that was not Stephen King on that list. So yeah, my reading goals always, every year, no matter what, I love reading it. I'm not as fast at it as you are, Joan. And for me, I might be able to get a couple pages in before I pass out at the end of the day, but I try to read every night. And that's, if I can finish about 1 a month, but what tends to happen is I'll read them in chunks. I'll be reading a book, and then Stephen King's new book comes out, I think in March, Never Flinch. It's another Holly Gibney book. So I'll stop whatever I'm doing and I will stop and read that book, and I'll finish it fast. So I think it just depends on what and how motivated I am, but reading goals every year. And for the last 4 years, finishing the season of Nerd Best Friends has been on my list. And for me, that is going to continue to repeat because anything could happen. Something could happen that we just don't finish the season. So every year we finish, I celebrate and cross something off my list. So those are repeatable goals for me every year, and they will continue to be so.
Very cool. For me, I talked about it already. It's that stupid Princess of the Apocalypse game, and it's finally dead, so I don't have to roll it over anymore. It's been
my hope
over
is
every year.
my hope is you figure out how to complete it. As someone who completed a 1 through 20 game with you, there is something to be said about getting to that finish line and toasting your character that you will never play again. So I hope you get to the end, however it looks.
We shall see. I'm not putting any pressure on it. Another thing that always repeats is, and this is kind of funny, so tokens, little game tokens for one of my favorite games, which is the company's one-page rules, and they market themselves as like very easy tabletop skirmish games, and they have like a sci-fi version and a fantasy version and a spaceship version and all this stuff, but it's all like the core backbone rules. I think they're great. They have files so you can 3D print your own tokens for the game, so you can mark your guys as like, you know, this guy shot, this guy double moved, this guy is dazed, you know, whatever. You put the little tokens on the thing. And I printed those out, and I printed them in like different colors. They just need to be painted. And I have started a few times, and it's like, I don't know, 120 of these little tiny plastic tokens that you got to paint. They're so boring. I've never finished them. They've been on my list forever. I'm pretty sure I can find those on Etsy, and some other sucker painted them or figured out a way to like 2-color 3D print them. I'm throwing those in the trash and not putting them on my list anymore. As far as something positive, though, that I have refreshed every year, there's been a focus of finishing, painting, and playing games that I already have. And so I know it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, we talked about, like, we're not buying Kickstarters anymore because they're getting, like, it's really starting to stack up. I need to paint what I have. And so I've been doing a pretty good job of that, of like, hey, paint what I have and focus on those kinds of things. Not perfect. I still buy new things because that's exciting, but that will continue to be on the list of like, and also evaluating, because what I did is I just kind of moved everything over to the 2025, but it really does need a purge. And that idea of like, hey, this box of minis from whatever, this is the 3rd year on that. Maybe it's time to just say, it's not going to happen. Sell it off. Give it to a friend.
Yeah.
You know, something different.
Someone else will spark joy from it for sure.
Exactly.
Well, Dr. Intern Joan, Rob, thanks for going on this journey. 25 for 25. Again, nerds, tell us what's going on in your 25 for 25. What are your nerd goals? What is your theme for this year? We're podcast at nerdbestfriends.com. Find us on social media at nerdbestfriends. Clue us in. What are we doing nerdy together?
I'm excited about the halfway check-in this year in June and see where we are.
Heck yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're back at it for another week, and we are welcoming Ashley back to tell us what's the nerdiest thing you did this week.
Well, there's many, from the corny jokes. What do you want? Like, or that I tripped in the parking lot at work and like fell. I mean, that's really nerdy.
No,
that was embarrassing.
No.
No, like that really did happen. I watched a YouTube video about it was like one of those try not to laugh challenges where like the YouTuber like posts like memes and like different like videos and stuff, and like if you laugh you lose. I thought that was pretty funny. I lost like 30 seconds in because I started to laugh.
Job done.
Yeah, but like I'd say probably the nerdiest thing that I really did this week was I think it was on Wednesday night. I was sleeping and had one of awesome dreams ever that me and my coworkers randomly went to Arizona on a trip, and we were riding in one of those old wood paneling station wagons. Why? I'm not really sure. And like I was driving, and like two of them were hiding in the back in the trunk, and I woke up and was, it was just a dream. It didn't happen. And I told them about it, and they were like, "Okay, like what have you been taking before bed?" Like an ibuprofen for my headache. I mean, yeah, I don't know why the wood paneling station wagon was in there, because to my knowledge none of them own one. I don't. I guess because it was in Arizona. I mean,
there you go.
I know why,
dream.
Ashley.
Why?
I know why.
Why?
Because there's a wood panel station wagon traveling to Arizona in season 2 of Oakbridge.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
How'd you know
Oh,
that?
you got it. You figured out the spoiler.
Did you hack into my computer to get hands on scripts?
No. Just JK.
I did see a picture online recently where someone had, like it's all about decorating your Cybertruck because they're all plain. I saw somebody had the Cybertruck with the avocado green with wood paneling decor on it. Oh man, remember those were so common way back when we were kids. The great thing about the station wagon is when you sit in the back, like the third row, you face backwards.
I don't remember that.
Remember those old like the station wagon she's talking about, those big like avocado green with wood paneling station wagons.
Yes.
If you were in the back truck, the kids, you would be facing backwards, looking at the people behind you.
And in a weird twist of events, the only time I've ever ridden in a backseat of one of those is in Arizona.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa. Look at this full circle. Speaking of that, Dr. Intern Joan, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Well, I finally pulled the plug and applied to the floor. It's a TV show, trivia-based TV show hosted by Rob Lowe. Told them that I was an excellent 80s, 90s one-hit wonder trivia person.
Oh my gosh.
Asked me about any kind of books. You had to list like your top 5 and you had to send in a video. I was very nervous to do the video, but it was like a date. I did it like a dating video. Like, I'm Joan and I have a psychology doctorate and I like walks on the beach. Anyway. Then I just hit send immediately. I didn't rewatch it. I didn't even think about it. I just sent it in. Or I would
That is
have done
amazing.
it.
So what we got to get you some Nerd Best Friends swag if you get on the show, JK. I mean, if you want to.
I don't know what the floor is, Joan. If let's say everything goes just as planned, you're in there. What are you gonna have to do with Rob Lowe?
Floor. I get
Swoon.
A grid. It's like a grid of squares, and you stand on it, and you challenge people in head-to-head duels on their category, and then you take over their part of the floor, and then whoever has more of the floor wins.
Like
at the end of
checkerboard.
Yeah. Like a
Kind
big
of,
light
yeah.
up LED board.
And there's people all over the checkerboard.
Yeah. There's
So
like
you
100
just like
people
move
they
into
start with.
somebody's square. Like you look them down, you look them in the eye, and you just step into their square, and you're like, "Let's go, nerd."
Yep. On their
Oh my
nerdy
gosh.
category.
And they go
Terrifying.
head to head where it's
Do they have
categories,
to
right?
be
And then
adjacent to you?
Whatever borders your square is available to
Okay.
you to challenge.
Got it. So if it was like sports, ancient history, and like the 80s TV show one is 2 squares away, you have to fight your way there. You can't just jump over. You got to go to an adjacent.
Yep. So
It's like
there's
a board
strategy.
game?
If
Oh
you
my
have
gosh.
the most at the end of the night, you win $20,000, or the end of the episode, and then overall it's $250,000.
wow.
Have you thought this through, Joan? Are you going to be on offense? Or are you going to be on defense? Are you going to be backing up? Or are you going to be going for it? What are you doing?
I think they're going to see my video and go, "Who is this lady?" No. So
No.
I just did it to challenge myself to do something. So
I will say I've only seen snippets of this show, and I will say they do a very good job of having a wide range of ages and people and types, because that challenge, it's not all the same. It's not all a bunch of millennials. It's not all a bunch of Gen Z kids. It's a little bit of everything, because there could be trivia from any genre. So you have a great chance.
we will see. Next
That's
spring is when
awesome.
they film the next season. So
Congratulations.
Keep
We're
me
gonna
updated.
be rooting for you.
thanks.
Annalise, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Okay, you all know me, listeners. If you don't know me, I have 2 favorites in my life. One of them is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and one of them is Dexter. Both the books and the original Showtime series starring Michael C. Hall, they are my favorites. When I went to Hellmouth Con, I got to gush to Julie Benz about how she's in my 2 favorite shows of all time, and she was very lovely. But now there is a prequel series called Dexter Original Sin, and it stars a bunch of people, and it's supposed to be Dexter as a young man graduating from college and starting out in his job maybe 5 to 7 years before the Showtime show starts. Sarah Michelle Gellar is starring in Dexter Original Sin, which is this like melding of my 2 favorites. Even though she's not playing Buffy, it's a melding of my 2 favorites. But moreover, I nerded out this week with all of the interviews and all of the media that she is doing, because she's kind of been out of the loop for a little while. I know she had a series of health food stuff, that like healthy cookie mixes and stuff like that for a little while, but nothing in the limelight, nothing in Hollywood until now. And the media out there right now and all these interviews that she's doing has just got my little Buffy heart and Dexter heart like beating at the same time. I have watched this clip maybe 25 times of her on the Drew Barrymore show, how she had been asked for years and years and years and years whether or not she would reprise the role of Buffy. And it's always, no, the show's over. We've told the story. And now on this clip, she is saying, I'm noticing now with this prequel of Dexter, with all of these reunion shows and prequel shows happening, that we need these heroes more than ever. And she's potentially opening the door. I mean, she didn't say yes.
Stop.
But like, this is the first time it wasn't a flat out, no, the story's been told. Now I have found a couple of interviews in which she said something similar. And, you know, she's also paying homage. As actors, we all wish and hope that we are part of something that outlasts us and generations after generations love. And I'm so blessed to have been part of Buffy. And maybe it could be time. So,
Man,
Fangirl
they really hit that demo, huh? Everything, like, even though it was on the Drew Barrymore show, give me a break.
I have to. And she's sitting with Christian Slater, who also is on the show, by the way.
Another
and fun
90s
fact,
hero. Yeah.
They quote
Oh
the
my
Buffy
gosh,
the
Annalise.
Vampire Slayer movie, in which Christy Swanson as Buffy has a line that says, you know, all I want in my life is to graduate high school, marry Christian Slater, and live happily ever after. And there she is sitting with Christian Slater on the Drew Barrymore show talking about a possible, it's the possibilities. They're making me so happy.
You're
And
such
I
a
just
freaking
about-
nerd right now.
What if she
I
comes to
also-
Hellmouth Con and announces something?
So she doesn't do cons, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, she's so anxious. She just doesn't do cons. It's not that she doesn't want to, but I saw one where she did some sort of con, I think in Europe somewhere, for the premiere of Dexter Original Sin. And she was so anxious. She was like grabbing onto Christian Slater, and they had like a circle of people holding hands around them to get her to where she needed to be. And no wonder, like they were being mobbed around this circle. So like, I don't blame her one bit. If she came to Helmouthcon, I would die. Boom, done.
Ashley, have you watched the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer from the late 90s?
I have.
It's not good, right?
I mean, it's decent. I mean, I'd say it's a decent show.
No, you know, Rob's
Joan and
playing,
Annalise love that show.
Rob
does
loves
not,
the show too.
yeah.
He doesn't want to admit it. He's afraid to admit it.
It's the
All right.
quintessential CW show. Come on, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make them like that
Buffy,
anymore.
The CW existed because of Buffy.
But Smallville.
Smallville would not have existed without Buffy. You're welcome.
All right.
All right, Rob, what do you got? What's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Nerdiest thing I did this week was I hosted a cookie party for the late holidays that we had at the office. Of course, we had to do it all out. We had to create a sign up form for everyone to bring different kinds of cookies. We had to there were all kinds of questions. We had to put out an FAQ about like, is a lemon bar a cookie? Those kinds of things. And then we had to do the timeline. We had to design all of the locations. We had to make decisions on whether voting was going to, because of course it's a contest. If voting was going to be anonymous or if we were putting our name on it, it was hard to keep it anonymous anyway. I designed a form. I used Google Forms' new feature, the star rating. I didn't know that was a thing, but it was perfect for this. And we had to figure out the categories. I tapped into my marching band past where general effect is always worth the most points. So on our rubric, it was flavor, appearance, and overall impression was the GE category, and that was worth double points. And so, of course, we had to collect all the voting, and I had to tabulate it on a spreadsheet and do the whole thing. And I came in fourth. I thought I had a really strong entry with chocolate crinkle cookies with the powdered sugar and stuff. They had like a brownie consistency. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to nail this. I show up. This other lady also has crinkle cookies, but her crinkle cookies were ume. And they're purple with the white powdered sugar on them.
Oh no.
Blew me out of the water. Joan, what's your favorite holiday cookie? Or what's your favorite cookie in general?
Well, I don't have to answer that because I have a funny story.
Okay.
I used to make so many Christmas treats. Peanut butter fudge, chocolate chip cookies, pumpkin cranberry chocolate chip cookies, English toffee, peanut brittle. Like I used to make all the things. I had a job once where I asked everyone what their favorite treats were. They're like, we don't know. And my mom, who has passed, I said, hey mom, no one loves Christmas treats in my office. She goes, that's because they don't like fun things. And I'm like, yeah, it's true.
There you go.
True.
It's true.
Maybe
So
if you weren't the enemy of all fun, you could enjoy a delicious cookie.
You could enjoy it. I am not a cookie fan necessarily. I like my fudge, my English toffee, kind of the candy part of Christmas or the holidays.
One of the dudes in the office brought something called a monster cookie. It had chocolate chips, it had M&Ms, it had pretzels, it had oats, it had like all this stuff, and everybody was blown away. It was also kind of like surprising that like this dude baked cookies because we've never known him to like, he doesn't even bring a lunch. And we're like, dude, you made monster, these cookies are amazing. This is great. And then we found out in his dark past before he became, a systems administrator, he worked at Panera making cookies all night.
That's his origin story.
His origin story was like, I had to go back to college because this Panera gig was not doing it.
Oh, man.
Bustin' makes me feel good. Next episode, we dive into the Ghostbusters movies. Yes, all the Ghostbusters movies. Even that one with the gorilla driving a car. Remember our call to action. Hit that subscribe or follow button on your device and spread the word with those sweet 5-star ratings. Connect with us on social media at NerdBestFriends or send us an email at podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Let's grow our nerdy family and keep the fun going strong.
Well, Ashley, and also Dr. Intern Joan, we are very grateful to have the both of you on the show. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it, and everybody's going to go check out Oakbridge on their podcatcher of choice and on all of the social medias.
Look at that.
I don't think we knew that one.
No, that one took a long time.
Do this. Pew, 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 pew.
And I commiserate?
Charisma
Oh,
carpenter rate.
When I charisma rate in Carpinteria with Charisma Carpenter.